We are still weeks away from the official start of hurricane season, but a tropical storm warning has been issued for portions of the North Carolina coast. Tropical Storm Arthur has become the first named storm of the year. It is currently strengthening and expected to hit the North Carolina coast Monday. CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli joins me now. Jeff, thanks very much for joining us. So tell us, where is this system right now?
All right, so the system developed last night to the east of Florida, and it's still making its way kind of up the eastern seaboard, as you can see right here. It's going to be located near the North Carolina coast tomorrow morning, and at that point, it's likely to be a pretty strong tropical storm. But we're not expecting, Elaine, this to be a hurricane, which is good news, because water temperatures are just not warm enough for that. They're just warm enough for a system to form into a tropical storm, but not quite a hurricane. So you can see where the system is located right now. It's located off the South Carolina coast, east of Jacksonville, southeast of the Charleston area. And again, it's pulling to the north at a fairly moderate clip.
So walk us through, Jeff, what exactly we can expect as this moves closer to the U.S. coast.
All right, so the only people that are going to see a direct impact, and I mean the storm hitting them directly, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, so very eastern North Carolina. That's where we have a tropical storm watch that's in effect. However, it's going to miss South Carolina. But still, in South Carolina, maybe a few outer bands, some showers, and obviously rough surf. Strong rip current risk. So up and down the eastern seaboard this week, if you go into the beach, the rip currents will be very strong, and boating is going to be very, very rough. So as you can see, that is the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center, pushing it right over the coast of North Carolina. That's where tropical storm watches are out. And by the time it gets here, it's forecast to have winds near 60 miles an hour. That means gusts could be near 70 or even 75, possibly, the outside chance of that happening, and that would be hurricane force wind gusts. That will happen. The majority of it happens tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon, and then the system should hook out to sea. So that's good news. So you can see where it's located right along the North Carolina coast here, and then it kind of takes that hook out to sea as a system pushes it that way. In fact, we have a map to show you that. So there's this big storm system across the middle of the country producing flooding from Chicago south through the Ohio Valley. That is going to try to capture the system, but it's not going to be able to do so. So as you can see, the system does get kicked out to sea, but before so, right along the eastern seaboard, we're going to see those wind gusts to 45, 50 miles an hour, and very big waves are going to form out here in the Atlantic and move back towards the coast. So if you're along the coast, you know, this week, even when the storm moves offshore as we head into Wednesday or so, it's still going to be breezy. It's going to be an unsettled week in the southeast and the southern part of the middle Atlantic as that next storm rolls in from Chicago. So the weather's going to be a little complicated, and the waves offshore 15 to 20 feet. So the surf is going to be rough each and every day.
Well, Jeff, how unusual is it to get a named storm before the official start of hurricane season?
It happens pretty often, actually, the last 6 seasons in a row. So including this one and then the past 5 seasons before that, we have seen a named system before season. One of the reasons is water temperatures have warmed about 1 degree Celsius since the early 1900s. So with warmer water, you tend to see more systems, partially due to climate change. The other thing is we've gotten better at our observations, so we have better satellites and better technology to diagnose these tropical systems. So we've seen a big increase since the 1980s and 1990s, solely because of that and because of the warmer water temperature. So it's becoming more common, and there's talk in meteorology community about possibly moving hurricane season back to May 15th, which is when it starts in the Eastern Pacific. But there's no word on if and when that'll ever happen.
Jeff, could this be an indicator of a more active 2020 hurricane season?
Well, we think it probably will be an active hurricane season. However, having an early system really doesn't tell you anything about whether or not you're going to have an active season. So those two are not correlated. They're not related. But just about every professional forecast unit that forecasts the upcoming hurricane season is predicting somewhere between 14 and 20 storms. And even the folks that I spoke to that are on the lower end, around 15 or 16 storms, say that they now expect a La Nina to develop in the Pacific, more so than they thought maybe a month ago. And La Nina usually means very active hurricane seasons in the Atlantic. So I would start preparing now if you live in the hurricane zone in Hurricane Alley in the south or along the coast. because it does look like it's going to be a pretty impactful and active hurricane season ahead.
Really important for people to start thinking about that now, especially as we're all in the midst of this pandemic. All right, Jeff Berardelli for us. Jeff, thanks very much. Take care.
You're welcome.